All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the January 20th very frigid cold meeting of Rotary Club of Des Moines. I'm back. I'm President Catherine Staub. I missed all of you. We are delighted to have you here today at the Embassy Club despite the frigid weather. Past President Skeet Wooten is going to give us a moment of inspiration, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and four-way test. Skeet?
I'm so underwhelmed, thank you. Throughout the centuries, there were men who took steps down a new road armed with nothing but their own vision. Ayn Rand said that. So from the Recplex website, the facility is described as one in a league of its own. And if you've driven by it or been inside, you'd have to agree with that sentiment. 300,000 square feet and $45 million later, you have perhaps the most unique and eventful public-private initiative in our city. But it's more than a sports complex. The vision of forward-thinking people from both the public and private sector to create a destination facility centered around sports, but also centered around activity and living a healthy lifestyle. As Confucius said, a healthy man wants 1,000 things. A sick man only wants one. So today's inspiration is being thankful for people finding common ground and working together to create something to make our community a better place. For the vision to see something that no one else sees, the condition of human circumstance from which the occasion of conflict has been removed, a vision of human activity coordinated and set going in a single direction, and of every resource be used to its fullest. With that, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test?
Is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Wave at your fellow Rotarians.
We have a guest to welcome today. Josh, want to stand up? Josh is visiting with Jason Stuyvesant, so welcome, Josh. There are sign-ups on each table for the Iowa Wolves Rotary Night to End Polio event scheduled for February 5th. You can buy tickets to the game, and remember that a portion of those proceeds go to End Polio Now. You can also, if you are personally not interested in going, you can donate your tickets to a youth group, and that still allows you to support the End Polio Now effort, and in addition, give some kids who would not otherwise have a chance to go to the game that opportunity. And thank you again to Jeff for representing our club on the End Polio Now committee. Also, please sign up if you have not already for President-elect Matt Busick's February Fling on February 17th at the Iowa Tap Room. Reservations need to be made by February 3rd, and you should have received an email about that. Rotary District 6000 has proclaimed January as Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. They wanted us to share this proclamation at a club meeting, so the full proclamation is out on the table near the badges, so you can take a look at that if you are interested. As a reminder, this is something that our club has supported through our $40,000 community grant contribution to Dorothy's House in 2019. Dorothy's House, for those of you who may not be familiar or don't recall, It's a safe place for survivors of human trafficking and exploitation, and Dorothy's house is located right here in Des Moines. In past years, we've had presentations too about the problems with human trafficking in this area because of the I-80-35 corridor. This area actually is, I suppose, much more impacted than many people think.
Catherine, that's also the topic of our Civitas event in April.
Yes, it is. So thank you, Jason. Jason just mentioned that human trafficking is also the topic of the Civitas event that a number of the Rotary clubs come together to sponsor. That will be happening in April, and so more information will be coming about that as we get closer to that event. And now, Susan Judkins-Justin will introduce our program. Susan.
Thank you, President Catherine. It is truly a pleasure to tell you about today's speaker. Skeet did a great job in kind of setting the stage and talking about the Recplex in West Des Moines by talking about some of the partnerships that made it possible. And no doubt our speaker, Shane Ratcliffe, will talk about that. What he's not likely to tell you is much of this progress in terms of the building itself and the success since it opened a few months ago would literally not have happened without him being in charge as general manager. So let me be the one to tell you that. I have a colleague at RDG who worked on this project with a prior employer, and he has emphasized this would not have happened without Shane. And those partners had the good foresight to bring him on board in November of 2019 while everything was still coming together as the building was being built. He was relocated to the Des Moines area from Minnesota, where he had really great experience, including having served in a similar general manager role in overseeing the Lakeville arenas in Lakeville, Minnesota. Please join me in giving a hearty welcome to Shane Ratcliffe.
Well, thank you all for having me. It's a privilege to be here, and I've given a lot of these over the past year and a half, and every one is like a new experience for me. So I'm really excited to show you about the Recplex and what we have going on. For those of you that don't know, I'm hoping that by now at least maybe one of you have been out there, or you know someone, or you've at least heard of us, but if not, that's what I'm here to do today and tell you a little bit more about it. We are a 300,000 square foot event and sports surface or sports recreational facility. We've got community events, we've got tournaments, we've got corporate events, all you name it, we've had out at this facility. But what the facility has overall, we've got 2 sheets of ice, we've got 2 full-size, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to point while I'm doing this, so 3 indoor pickleball courts, 4 basketball courts, an indoor turf field, an Esports Center, 3 outdoor synthetic turf fields, batting cages, we have our RP grill, which is our food and beverage, as well as meeting rooms, we have an athletic training space with DMU, as well as adaptive recreation with Can Play Sports. So the question about how we got here. So in 2018, there was a group of hockey parents that basically got together and they wanted to build a new facility in the area. They were looking at a 2-sheet ice facility that could accommodate tournaments and increase the skating ability for the area. They connected with the Iowa Soccer Association with the idea to put a field house, an indoor turf center on this facility. So it kind of grew from there. Then this group connected with the City of West Des Moines. They connected with the City of West Des Moines. They also connected with Mid-American Energy, who actually purchased the naming rights. So that's why we're called the Mid-American Energy Company Recplex. They pledged $5 million for the naming rights of the facility as a whole. So then there was some real money behind this. This started as about a $34 million project that the initial endeavor was going to be almost a 50-50. They were going to get about $13 to $14 million in private donations and naming rights, and then the City of West Des Moines said they would utilize sales tax money from their 1% sales tax on all the hotel motel to use tourism money to create a tourism facility, right? It seemed like a great idea. And it has been. The city went out and they connected with a group called Sports Facility Advisors and Sports Facility Managers, and they ran a feasibility study on the facility, came back that it would be positive. And it kind of grew from there. When the city took it on full time, they had the opportunity to either hire a management company to run it or to run it internally under the Park and Rec Department, and fortunately for me, that's what they chose to do. So I am an employee of the City of West Des Moines, which we're fully owned and operated by the City of West Des Moines. So I have, there are 6 full-time staff at the Recplex, including myself, and we have about 70 part-time staff that run it as well. We also operate as an enterprise fund through the City of West Des Moines. So from an operating standpoint, we're required to operate in the black on a yearly basis. The construction debt on this facility is being paid for by the city and the sales tax and other dollars, but from a year-to-year basis, so we do have a revenue side to everything that we do out here. So it's kind of a unique setup, and I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go on, but there isn't a blueprint for a facility like this. There are a lot of comparable facilities that are either like a community center that are subsidized a lot or private endeavors, but we kind of blend that line by having to create and offer the community events, but also to be able to keep the revenue side of it in the back of our minds as we're going about it. Here's an overall layout of it, and this makes it look very small. Is the pointer the middle button?
Yes.
So as you can see here on the facility layout, we've got the 2 ice arenas and then the field house. So it literally, this is a full-size 1,500 person arena, and I can fit 4 of them in my field house. So the field house is a massive space if you haven't been out there. And then we also have 3 outdoor synthetic turf fields. We have about 66 acres of land total out there on Grand Avenue. So if you've been out there, DMU is actually building their campus right on the little kitty corner from us is where their new campus is moving up there. But we're 3/4 of a mile off of 35, the interstate. And we do have room for 2 more additional fields on the end of our property, and then we could add a 3rd sheet of ice here as well to fully build out the site. We have about 1,000 parking spots total in here. And this is kind of an overview of the site as whole, so you can see this is back from, I think, from about September that shows it, and there's the 3 outdoor synthetic turf fields. We've got room down here, and then the DMU space is literally right here. So the entire site, we brought in about 5 feet of fill on the entire site to get it above the 500-year floodplain, so that way it would hopefully last, and we don't have to worry about water, but you never know. We've got some other features built into it to try and take care of that. And so a little bit more about the different facilities. Our main arena, which is ranked number 1, it has 1,500 seats like I talked about during the ice events. We anticipate the ice season will be about August through March every year based on current demand. The end of March, we take the ice out and we've got a 17,000 square foot event center. So we can fit a 40 by 60 stage, another 1,000 chairs on the floor, and we can have a 2,500 person event center. So whether it's a concert or a graduation or a convention, you name it, we can have in that facility. Large overhead doors, so a lot of flexibility was built into that. We have a lot of hockey programs. The Des Moines Oak Leafs moved over from the Metro Sports Center, and this is their home rink. We also have hockey tournaments, things like that will be running out of there. A couple of unique events we already have scheduled. So we pull the ice the 3rd week of March. We have a volleyball tournament already the last weekend in March. We have the men's national NAIA volleyball championships are going to be coming out here in 22 and 23. Grandview University is the host school. It's going to be held at ours. The Iowa Homeschool Convention is having an event in there. We literally have about 12 weeks where we have the ice out, and 9 of them we already have events in there. So whether they're volleyball tournaments, wrestling events, basketball tournaments, the events that I talked about. So we've been very fortunate already that calls just keep coming. Rink 2, this is our year-round rink. This is our real workhorse. It's a smaller rink. It has seating for 300 people. You can see the curling circles in the ice. We've got the Des Moines Curling Club came over from the Metro Sports Center as well. They run curling programs on Sunday nights from 6 to 10. We run all of our Learn to Skate programs. We started a brand new Learn to Skate program in the end of October this year. We've already reached full capacity. We set an hour aside for every Tuesday night and every Sunday afternoon, and we've already reached our capacity. So we'll be expanding that next fall when our ice schedule kind of rechanges. We have a small shooting area back in the back corner here, so teams can go back there and practice and warm up. And then we also have broom ball and our public skating that we run on this rink as well. Our Come and Go community rooms, this is kind of our ballroom. A lot of these rec facilities don't have that type of a setup. This is about 3,500 square feet. We've got dividable partitions, audio, video. We had a large MLK Day event out there. We've had a wedding reception with corporate gatherings, celebration of life, you name it, we've had it out there. So, and it's very reasonable. Part of the thing that Tom Haddon, our city manager, has been adamant about this whole project was that because we're not paying for the debt service, it's being paid for by the tourism dollars, that we keep our rates low. So this rents out for $135 an hour for the whole thing. So very reasonable, a higher end, because we have 2 other areas in the facility more for birthday parties and for arts and crafts, things like that. So we try to keep this a little higher end. It's got motorized blinds on all the glass, so you can set it up however you want. Very well done. Something unique to us is our Esports Center. So basically electronic gaming. It is, originally this space was potentially going to be a restaurant. It's 3,500 square feet on the end of our commons area. So what esports is, it's electronic gaming. So kids that play Fortnite, kids that play PlayStation, things like that. We've got 30 high-end gaming PCs that were custom built. On the other side of the room here, we've got 2 virtual reality centers that you can put on, as well as 2 PlayStation, 2 Xboxes. A lot of people question, what do you do with that, right? So birthday parties, it's really huge. We get a lot of groups that come in and they rent their birthday parties. You can rent that whole room for $125 an hour. So to not have your kids trash your house or anything like that, $125 is a great deal. We're also working with Grandview University. They have 60 scholarship athletes in esports. So what we're working with is having like the Dowling and the Valley and the Waukee club teams come out. They can practice there, and Grandview can actually use it as recruiting. They can come out there, their coach, and can recruit the players. It's above my head. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know. But I know that that's what they talk about. The other side of this is it's going to be big for drop-ins. So when we've talked about all the sports surfaces we have, if little brother or little sister wants something to do when their brother is playing a hockey tournament or a basketball tournament, they can come in and we have drop-in. You can rent one PC for $8 an hour. You can rent the VR for $25 an hour. So for teams that are in between games, you got a game at noon, a game at 4, this gives them something to do, gives them something for the little brother and sister. We can use it for corporate events, virtual scavenger hunts with the VR, as well as under the rec side, we can do general, just learn to code, learn to Photoshop, learn Excel. So we can use it as just a general computer lab as well. So this helped to spur the technology need for the facility, and it's a whole nother demographic that we wouldn't have reached by just hitting the 6 major sports. So you don't have to be 6'3", 230 to be an athlete in esports, right? Any shape and size. A lot of these kids are sitting in their parents' basement. This way we can get them out and get them a little more socialized. So our administration really supported this when we brought it to them, and it's literally the fastest growing sport in the world right now because a lot of people can play it. Even groups like the Army, they're looking at sponsoring this. This is their future drone pilots. They've pulled a lot of their advertising for NFL and for MLB for that into esports programming because they need that technology. So that's kind of what this is based off of, is to be able to accommodate that. Our indoor turf field. So this is about 90,000 square feet of space. We've got a 56-foot tall ceiling. It's a full-size indoor soccer field, so it's literally 355 feet long of grass by 240 feet wide. So the picture doesn't do it justice. These banners right here are 10 by 15, so you can see how small they are compared to the size of the facility. So with that, we've got lines in there for, we can fit a 90-yard modified football field, full-size lacrosse field, full-size rugby, and full-size soccer. We also have some divider curtains up here in the ceiling so we can split it into thirds, so you can go cross field and play smaller games with scoreboards up on the wall. Not everything's done yet, but there will be scoreboards on all thirds, things like that. So it's fully climate controlled. It's a nice 67 degrees year-round in there, so not too hot in the summer, not too hot in the winter. We also run special events in there. So we have adult walking. So if you want to come in here, instead of going to the mall and you want to come in here, so like yesterday, we had 40 people in there walking. So they walk around the perimeter. 5 laps around is a mile. So we charge $3 for those people to come in. We also have open toddler time. Moms and want to come in. We had 140 people yesterday for open toddler time. So we have a bucket of balls and we bring it and they just literally go out there and run. Burn off space. Nothing against the mall, but it's a little better than the equipment, molded equipment at the mall. Plus they get to run and kick. So the older people that are walking, they love interacting with it. So flexibility is what we want to have out here. We also have had a couple family fun nights where you can come out here and the community can just play. We'll do movie on the turf. We'll do areas where we put inflatables out here. We can have special events out there. We also have a couple groups that are going to be utilizing this. I talked about some of those volleyball tournaments we have coming up. We have a volleyball event that's going to fit 12 volleyball courts out here, in addition to the 8 that we have, and then 4 on the main arena. So we're going to have 22 volleyball courts for 3 different tournaments coming up here in April. We fit 9 basketball courts out here, and then we have a wrestling event where they're going to bring 40 wrestling mats out here. So we tried to build this with flexibility. We knew that the main 5-6 sports is easy, but how do you fill something like this year-round? So making it flexible is very important to us. We also have 3 hardwood basketball courts, 30,000 square feet in our Wells Fargo court area. Those are 94-foot long courts, so full-size courts with high school markings. We've got 6 hoops per. We also have it striped for cross-court basketball and cross-court volleyball. So we can fit 6 volleyball courts or the 3 basketball courts. There's retractable seating on this side, seating for 300, so we kind of have a game court. This is this first one, but each court has scoreboards, shot clocks are coming, and then we have these tip and roll bleachers that we can scatter around depending on how the setup is. So we had our Little Hoopers Basketball League, which is 4 to 7-year-olds, started 3 weeks ago. We had 198 kids in our first session. These courts just opened up on December 28th, so they were the last part of the project, essentially the last part to be fully completed. So they were in very high demand. We're working with a group called All Iowa Attack Basketball, which is an elite basketball program out of Ames. They're going to bring 26 weekend tournaments to this facility for basketball that they host. So having them as a partner is a huge get, and again, creates tourism dollars to come into the facility and into the community to help offset the costs and the construction of it. On the far end of our field house, we have what we call our multi-purpose area. So this is a 4th basketball court right here, and that has lines, cross-court basketball, cross-court volleyball. It also has 3 pickleball courts lined out here. On the other side of this divider curtain is our pickleball courts. We have 2 dedicated pickleball courts right in the middle there. And then on the far side here, we have another grass area, which is about 5,000 square feet with 4 batting cages in the ceiling. So we've got 1 70-foot tunnel and 3 55-foot tunnels. They can go up and down independently. We have a lot of baseball teams coming out here, and they'll put 1 tunnel down and use the rest for infield. We'll have drop-in time where you can come and rent a tunnel for $25 an hour, so you want to come and hit balls with your son or daughter on a weekend. It's set up for that. All these divider curtains go up and down, so this could be one big, large area that we'll utilize for summer camp. We have our RP Kids Summer Day Camp that's going to be starting up this summer. We've been utilizing it already on some of the non-school days and over winter break, but we can have 100 kids down here, and you don't even know they're in the building based on the size of this facility. So they can come in here and they can do activities, whatever it be, kickball, basketball, the pickleball, and then there's actually a set of stairs right here, and right where this picture's taken is another one of our meeting room spaces called our overlook room, which is about 2,400 square feet. They'll utilize that for arts and crafts and the food and things like that. So again, I talked a little bit about this, but what do we have coming up here? So we have 20 on the books for this first year for the All Iowa Attack, given that we just got the basketball in here at the 1st of January. 8 youth hockey tournaments, 4 of the regional volleyball tournaments, the NAI National Championships. We were awarded the Midwest Conference Boys State High School Hockey Tournament. So we will be the place for boys high school hockey coming up in March of this year, and I'm sure we'll keep it for many years to come. Child's Gymnastics is bringing their regional men's tournament in March on the hardwood courts. We've got actually indoor softball tournaments, so we can fit 2 softball fields on that indoor turf area, batting from corner to corner. I talked about that 40-mat AAU wrestling event, as well as an indoor pickleball tournament. So we are literally just answering the phone right now. When we were going through this, and I've talked to a lot of groups, and the people call, and then I get people from the radio station say, hey Shane, you want to advertise? We don't got nothing to advertise, right? We're already turning people away, and it's unfortunate, but it's a good problem to have. And as I talked about, that there's no blueprint for this, is us trying to find that balance of, I know I can make $400 an hour on that indoor turf, renting to a Vision Soccer Academy or Sporting Iowa, versus drop-in, which is $5 a person, right? So I gotta have 80 people show up for drop-in versus I can just run it. So finding that mix, and we're still working on it as far as when the community public time is. That's kind of the way our facility operates. We have 11 rentable sports surfaces. Otherwise, you can come in during one of our community drop-in times. So we talk about the open walking, the open toddler time, we have public skating, we have open gym, let's say noon to 2 on a weekday, it's $5, you come and play pickup basketball, or on a Saturday from 1 to 3, things like that. Same as the open turf time. So a lot of flexibility in the space, but everything we've done here is basically written in pencil, because we know that year 2 might be different than year 3 and year 1, because there isn't a magic number, and certain groups will expand and certain groups will get in and they'll say, we just can't afford it anymore, things like that. But it's nice to have the flexibility built in to this facility. So that's kind of all I've got for the facility a little bit. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, because sometimes I apologize, I glass over things. Yes, sir.
You may have said it, but I didn't recall. What are the hours of operation? Are you a 24/7 operation?
So we will rent anytime people want. So basically right now we're about 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. We have Friday nights and Sunday nights that go till about midnight, because we have adult groups that go a little later. If we get a group that wants to do before school hours or whatever, like a breakfast club, we'll rent it to that as well. So we're still working on that, but my goal is 365, 18 hours a day would be our goal. But obviously we like to fit some maintenance in there at some point, but so far the response has been very good. But then our public, so that's when our building's open, and then the public hours they random, right? They're vary as far as the open walking or the open. It's not a membership based. It's not just open to just come and do any of these facilities whenever you want. Everything's pre-scheduled on the facility on our website. Does that make sense?
Yeah, one additional question there. As far as access, is there a West Des Moines resident price versus, say, everyone else, or how does the pricing go?
No, because the way the revenue was set there, it was set as just, this is the cost of renting. And I think part of the big driving force of this was the hockey side of it, right? There's only, I think there's 450 hockey members in Des Moines Youth Hockey Association. There's only 65 of them that are actually West Des Moines residents. So that kind of started the whole thing that you can't really give to when you base it off of user groups, it's tough to be able to give that resident fee for the user group. So that's why we, again, what Tom had said, keep the cost down. That's why it's only $3 to come walk in, $1 for toddler time, $3 for open pickleball, $15 to rent a pickleball court, right? You go over to Smash Park, you're talking $30, we're only 15, right? So we try to, that's kind of our way of everything is resident prices versus versus the non-resident price.
Yeah, first off, thank you for your presentation. I wanted to mention too, a good friend of mine runs Camp Play Sports, and it's been amazing for his organization to be there and for his youth participants.
Yeah, they've been good. We've been excited to have them.
Yeah. I want to ask too, I was curious about the public-private partnership and how the funding came about for RecFlex. Could you speak to that a bit more?
Yeah, so the way it started was basically, we created a membership or a sponsorship group. It had a lot of the groups. Once they got Mid-American on board, that helped, right? That really helped to spur it. And a lot of it was naming rights, right? So we've got Mid-American, they gave $5 million. Hy-Vee gave $2 million. Wells Fargo gave $250. Greg Abel gave $1 million for the main arena. Jim County for the second arena gave $1 million. We've got EMC Insurance is in there. So it was basically, they had a goal to raise $14 million. We still do have one outdoor field for $500,000 if anyone's interested. We have an Esports Center for $250. We have batting cages for $50. So if anyone's interested, there's still space. But so their goal was to hit $14 million. I think they're right around 13.6 right now. We do have about $1 million left in that. And then it has been kind of a moving target. Like I said, it started at 34. The intro was 45. That's old. We're now pushing 60. So it's a very expensive project. Part of that was when the private hockey group brought their architect to the city. I think it was not necessarily a West Des Moines design facility, right? I think West Des Moines has different standards for some of the aesthetics and even the landscaping plan, right? So some of that stuff. And then some of these ideas when we got in there were, for X amount more, we could do this, and then we can open up to all this. We have a $1 million Wi-Fi system that can cover the entire facility and the outdoor fields. We can have 8,000 simultaneous people on our Wi-Fi because that's an expectation, right? That's what people want. Again, little brother, little sister, they bring their iPad, they want something to do. So we want to make sure we had some of those amenities that are expectations now. So that's kind of how that project and how that cost has kind of grown from what it originally was. Does that kind of answer your question?
That's great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
A quick one. Did I hear right that your outdoor facility would accommodate rugby?
Yes, so will the outdoor facility accommodate rugby? Yes, so we've had the West Des Moines Wombats, I believe, is the rugby club out there. So they came and played their 4 home matches on the outdoor fields. So we have some modified goalposts that we bolt onto our soccer goals to create the goalposts for rugby, and then we have the rugby lines painted out there. So yeah, they played out there.
And what's the rental per game?
So our rental price on the outdoor field is $75 an hour for the outdoor synthetic turf fields. The indoor fields, and just to, the outdoor fields have blown my mind as far as the demand for them. When we put a budget together, I don't know, it was almost 2 years ago, right when I got started, right? And it's who's going to pay $75 an hour for an outdoor field? We put in $54,000 for a year, right? We figured that was a decent usage. We brought in $66,000 in our first 3 months. So in our first year, we brought in $175,000 of outdoor field rental. And we're not even trying. We had groups starting in March of 2021. March 1st they started. We had temporary lights, temporary sidewalks. There was mud everywhere. There was still construction going on. So as we grow and we start expanding and get more tournaments and fill our load times, that's kind of again where we're at. Is we're just fielding requests. We're plugging them in. In a year or two, when we can catch our breath, then we'll start looking at our slow times and figure out, when can we create more tournaments, other opportunities. But yeah, it's been a great turnout for that $75 an hour. And our indoor field, I was talking $400 an hour. That's our prime time. Come April 15th, that goes down to $125 because that's kind of, most people are outside. So we have a lot of groups now. They're renting all four, right? You rent the 3 outdoor and the 1 indoor. It's like $83 an hour over the 4 fields, and then they get a 4th field. So it's been a good problem to have so far. Either one?
Shane, thank you for your presentation. I have a curiosity. How much does a Zamboni machine run?
Our brand new Zamboni was $150,000. So that's about a 15-year replacement cost or replacement life on that. And ours is a full electric. All of our equipment inside is all electric, so we have no air quality concerns with the facility, our edger. So we have 2 electric ice resurfacers, and then we have a couple utility vehicles that we use inside as well. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Shane, and everyone else. Thanks for coming and presenting. You talked about the demand that you're having no problems with, filling all your space. Do you guys have any concerns with? I know in one Buccaneers are going to put in a couple sheets of ice at Merle Hay Mall, and then I think there's another facility going in Grimes or Johnston that outdoor fields. You guys foresee that demand, keeping up? Or?
No, so the Grimesplex is all outdoor, right? So that's sure. 13 outdoor synthetic turf fields. With our 3 outdoor, we're not big enough to host those major tournaments, and we never were going to be. So we're working closely with Vision Soccer, which is out of Waukee, and Sporting Iowa, which is a combination of, I believe, Johnson and West Des Moines. The West Des Moines, from the Sporting Iowa side, they know that they can't send half their members driving right past that beautiful Recplex up to Grimes without getting some pushback. So they know they need to keep some rental there, as well as Vision. Vision has their, I think it's 4 or 6 fields out in Waukee. They just got 2 of them or 3 of them modified into synthetic. So between their 4 and our 3 or 4, whether it's indoors and outdoors, that's a good smaller tournament. We'll never be the county fields or the Grimesplex where you need 13 fields. So we feel real good about that. As far as the ice goes, this area needs more ice, right? I'll be honest, we already have people asking for our 3rd sheet of ice. Like literally, we could fill a 3rd sheet of ice from October 1st till March 1st tomorrow with no problem. The old bucks will go away, right? And then Metro, it's only a matter of time, right? They've served their purpose, nothing against them, but they're just, rinks are very expensive to build. They're even more expensive to operate and maintain. So they've served their purpose as well. So if you take away the old bucks and Metro, the 2 sheets, which I believe is what they're building this first phase up at Merle Hay, it's only going to get us back to 4 sheets of ice in the community, which is not nearly enough. So we're well aware of that. And like I talked about, on our main arena, we can turn that up and turn that down. So maybe it doesn't have to go in until September one year, depending on what the demand is. Our phone's ringing off the hook already for the dry floor event, so we know we can get other programming in there. We're very close partners with the Des Moines Youth Association, so they'll always be growing and they'll stay with us. So we're not too worried about those other projects at all, but we build it for flexibility, just in case, because you never know. There's always going to be something shinier and newer coming down the road, and that's why we wanted to build it for that. Yes, sir.
It seems you have the space. Have you explored indoor driving range at all?
Indoor drive for soccer, for golf.
Yeah.
Indoor driving range for golf, we have not yet. I did that in my facility in Minnesota, where we just got the big net, and we didn't have individual bays, but just a big one. Once we figure out our slow time, maybe. I think our busiest time is going to be that early, this January through April is our busiest time, which is probably the busiest time for driving, that demand. So we have the space, but as now, we don't even have the time to do it. But yeah, absolutely, if there's an opportunity.
Expansion.
Yes.
Didn't Topgolf talk about it?
Yes, Topgolf or Sweet Swing or whatever it's called is supposed to be going right on the corner of 35 and Grand, which is going to be very similar to an outdoor heated driving range place. But sorry.
Couple questions. Do you foresee hotel, motel eventually in that area due to all the activity?
Yeah. Also, go ahead.
And then the second one was, About how far out geographically is the pole for that facility?
So the question is whether or not, sorry, what's your first one?
Hotel, motel.
Yes, oh yeah, will we get development, hotel, motel across the street, as well as what's our geographical range for the groups coming in? So I met with Clyde Evans already 4 different times with different developers about the parcel right across the street. So the goal would be, and this, again, nothing's formal, but some type of housing for DMU, as well as a hotel, motel, or a hotel with conference center. One of the groups interested and would put a conference center big enough to host fit 4 basketball courts. So you put 4 there, plus our 4, you can have a nice 8-court tournament or volleyball, whatever you want to do. So the goal is to get something across the street, and then also a medical facility. Given that DMU's campus is right there, we have the DMU clinic in our building, that Grand Avenue is just prime to do it. There's even, Chow's Gymnastics is even looking at something down there. I mean, Clyde does not want that to be a one and done on that quarter down there. We have a lot of opportunity given that we can host so much. I mean, we already have a school looking to come into the Recplex next year to do daytime schooling, and then they can play hockey all day long. And then we have a soccer group that's looking to do the same thing. So very, very flexible for the space and to have that. And then as far as the geographic, majority of our tournaments are Kansas City up to Minneapolis to Chicago is kind of that range that most of the tournaments have come in so far. I know the NAIA is a little bigger, so when the volleyball comes, that'll be a little bigger. And then I know Chow's draws a further demographic than that. But that's kind of what our based on the team names that I get. Right, we get a list every game, every tournament of who's playing. That's kind of the region that they've been coming from. But yeah, Kansas City is about as far, and then Minneapolis, Chicago. Then obviously St. Louis, they come kind of from that area. That makes sense? Yes, sir.
Maybe I missed it, but what did it cost? And then how much private money came in and then the public?
Yep, what was the cost and what was the breakdown? So right now we're at about 62 million. We've got 14 million in private, and then the rest has been under the city sales tax. And then we've got about $1 million left in naming rights that we would love to sell to help offset and kind of finalize the program. But so about a quarter of it was private donations, and those are over 20 years was the naming rights. So Mid-American has the name for 20 years, Hy-Vee has the name for 20 years. So.
Another question?
Thank you so much, Shane, for that interesting presentation, and I know I'm going to encourage my son to get out there. We are donating a book in your honor through our Rotary Rosie Reader Van through the Des Moines Public Library Foundation. Last year, as you all recall, our Rotary Club of Des Moines gave a $40,000 grant to the Library Foundation to purchase the van. Upcoming meetings, the 27th, we have Brad Kruger with, who's going to talk about past, present, and future of robotic surgery. Then on February 3rd, we have Kim Perez, who is president and CEO of the Greater Des Moines Botanical Gardens. And on February 10th, Warren Erickson, president of AE Dairy. So that is what you have to look forward to coming up. If one of those seems like it would be of particular interest to someone you know, pull a Jason and invite someone like Josh to join us at one of those upcoming meetings. And again, Josh, thank you for being with us today. That is it for today. We are adjourned. Thank you all for being part of our club.